Okay, I'm going to try to recap here a little bit, really hammer this home, underscore why this is so dangerous. The general notion of what people should be pursuing in life, what I'm referring to as the inverted American dream, has been sold to our country and citizens around the world in some form or fashion as what we should be striving for. But if in reality where that path leads you is opposite of where you really need to go, then no matter how hard you try to hustle and climb that ladder and do all these other things that have been prescribed and dictated in some form or fashion by the forces that be, you're not going to realize you're going in the wrong direction, and ultimately your energy is not serving yourself. And I mean that in a positively selfish way. Your energy is serving what they want. So either you don't have the time, attention, energy, resources to spend empowering yourself, learning, I was looking for the word learning, empowering yourself, learning, enlightening yourself as to what is really happening. Again, that is the definition of truth. That which was, that which happened, what is happening, and what is, okay? If you're not focused on that, then you're pretty much just pissing your life and energy away and your resources in terms of, your duration of your life here on this planet. Ultimately, every system that is around us has been fabricated as a lie. Here's another version of the lies. Has been fabricated to misdirect our attention. Attention is time, attention is energy. Completely subvert our attention. We're just, inverting black to white, white to black. So it's either this casual misdirection or it's this blatant spin around. And in so doing, is keeping you off the most important path, which is the pursuit of truth. Because if you came to be on that path, you would wake up to all the fucking slavery that is holding us back in like this first layer, okay? I mean, even if we were to shrug off what people call the deep state or the cabal or government, we're so fucked in the head from everything they've been poisoning us with, and I mean that more both literally and figuratively and metaphorically, that we have a long way to go just to prop ourselves up and live on our own 2 feet, okay? And all these systems of control, from religion to money to the military, police force, government, education, Wall Street, the financial system, the food industry, and not last but not least, fucking big pharma. All these systems are interwoven with the opposite of your best interest in mind. And they're culminating here in the United States. And so anything that exists here, yeah, go America. We're fighting to preserve, not realizing that we are not breaking our shackles. We are just polishing them because ours will look shinier than the guy in the next country. Okay? And until you realize that entire web of this first veil's networks and systems are nothing but convoluted systems of slavery, and they're all beautifully interwoven, and that they're all facets of mind control. And mind control could be interchangeably understood as, lies that we've been sold. It's very hard to recognize that the American dream has been inverted and subverted So it's like we're at the front of the parade and we're marching, like, come on guys, it's this way, you know, this is the path to fill in the blank, a good life, happiness, perceived freedom, etc., etc. Now realizing that we are directing people over a cliff, and we're smiling the whole time and thinking we're doing it right. Like, that's the most sinister and sick part of it. It's one thing when you're overtly a slave and you're like, damn, you know, he's master is beating me because I won't, you know, whatever, make him lunch. All I want to do is break out of here and get away from the slavery. But in this case, we're building that prison around us by allowing for these systems to perpetuate in their existence and believing that they indicate what is actually important. Okay, that's such a key concept here, is we have been deluded in our belief, wow, of what indicates importance and significance in life, okay? And I know it seems like I'm belaboring this point, but it is so important in order to understand how easily they are able to control everything, given the amount of influence this country has in today's world. I mean, yeah, sure, as they say, China may be the next great superpower. Who the fuck wants to move to China? Nobody. Why? Because we recognize it as a communist country. Or we could say, because we recognize that there's a certain form of slavery going on over there. Oh yeah, I like my Nikes, except it was probably made in a sweatshop in China that exists in our present day. So why would it be a good thing to use the metric of the superpower, however you want to grade it, if that superpower happens to be a country like China? Okay, America is no different in kind, only in degree. In other words, our level of slavery is a little more elusive to the common man, and we live a greater life of comfort and convenience, but it's just the trade-out we have because we're top dog. All right? You're still listening to this. Some of you are probably wondering, okay, what's your point? What is it you're trying to convince us of? This video is just a piece of trying to lay the groundwork of the much larger context in order to understand what is really happening, in order to grasp the scope of truth. I've told other people that if I ever, as I encounter people that know nothing of what's going on, and I just want to apprise them, generally speaking, of what's at stake, I usually say, look, the bad news is that the bad is a million times worse than you could ever imagine. It's the stuff of deep, dark horror movies, nightmares, of what's really happening behind the scenes and what's really controlling things. And then I follow it with, the good news is that the good is a billion times better than they've ever let you imagine it could be. Okay? It's the ultimate red pill, blue pill kind of confrontation where someone has to say, huh, that's interesting. And those that walk away from that opportunity to know truth and go down that path, have no time for them. In fact, anyone that's listened to anything I've had to share in the last year, if you have not propelled yourself to get on that truth train, then I don't know what you're doing at this point, okay? The people for whom this content is being put out is for those that are looking for the answers. You know, I've heard others say it, and it makes sense, that they are not sharing truth for the sake of humanity itself. Motherfuckers, you gotta sink or swim on your own accord. But I'll be damned if I don't do my part to try to push forward truth so that others may come to understand it, digest it, sit with it, and then take the necessary action, which will become like the most subconscious muscle memory. It'll become the burning fire that no ocean could put out, because you'll wake up to your purpose here and the understanding of why you're here, both personally and more generally speaking. You know, the potentiality that we hold as humans and what your role is and can be as an individuated unit of that consciousness from which we all spring forth. Okay? And so a very important piece of this is quickly coming to terms with that 99.9% that I started this video with. Because until you wrap your mind around it and kind of go through that depressed period of recognizing everything you know is a lie and I've been duped, that's okay, as long as you now take it upon yourself to turn away from that lie and pursue truth, and in so doing share that with other people, because that's why we're here, to live together and to co-create. But we can't do that with a bunch of inert zombies walking around. We need them to wake up to their individual potential and life force, and recognize their connection to their higher self, and recognize their connection to Drog and ultimate consciousness, and then live together. Because until that happens, if you're not carrying that forward in some form, you are facilitating the slavery that is holding us back. And we are now at a point in this world, as we saw given the fallout of COVID, that the ideas and decisions, good or bad, but usually bad, of a person or small group of people can very quickly impact, to our detriment, the lives and livelihoods of virtually everyone on the planet simultaneously. So there's no more hiding really from what's transpiring on the world stage, and that is why now is so important to recognize what is happening, because I don't want to say we're at this precipice, but we're at this potential point of inflection where things can get really shitty or they can get really good. Because you can take the notion or the idea that what we saw happen is an indication that the dark forces are gaining strength, or the idea that the level of chaos that they create and the level of slavery they seek to inflict upon us is direct and proportional, if not inverted, equal and opposite, to the amount of fear they have of what we as humans have, and how close we are getting to recognizing that. Now, they're doing a great job of keeping the lid on things through their popular mechanism of the mass media. Please, people, turn off your TVs, throw them away, find some alternative, independent journalism in order to get your information, because until then you're not really going to understand what's happening.